There are various ways to get help in TMUX. There are some tried and tested tricks, and then there is list command to get help about all the commands. For key binding, there is a shortcut to get help, and then online resources are available. In the miscellaneous topic, there are a few very important ones, like converting pane into a full-blown window, enter into command mode, renaming windows and sessions using shortcuts, zooming in and out of a pane. In this session, we will see how to get help from TMUX. For any Linux command, the man command is full of information, but at times it can be overly detailed. For seeking quick help, there are a couple of alternate ways. So first of all, let's look at TMUX man and see how can we get help from there, and then we'll explore the alternatives. So if we do man TMUX, we'll get a lot of details. But as you can see, this is quite overwhelming. So a quick alternate to this is, let's say you remember a TMUX command but not fully. You remember the first letter of the command. That first letter is L. Once you do that, you get ambiguous command warning and all the possible options like TMUX last pane, last window, and so on. One of these options is TMUX list sessions. So if this is the command I was looking for, I will do TMUX list sessions and I'll get the help. Similarly, if I'm looking for any other help related to, let's say, TMUX letter S, you see there's so many options we get: source file, split, start server, suspend client, and so on. That's one quick way. If this does not help you, then there is another alternate, which is TMUX and list commands. This will list all the commands, okay, and you can take the reference from it. For example, new window. Here you can see TMUX new window and name of the window and all these options that are available. -t target, as we know, targets a specific session. Alright, so these are two ways, quick tricks. At times, we will need help within the TMUX session related to key bindings. Let's see how can we do that. Getting help related to key binding is simple. You hit prefix key and then question mark, which presents to you all the key bindings available. How to read this is pretty simple. So my default prefix key is control space. If I hit control space and $, that renames the session. If I hit control space and then percentage, it splits the window horizontally. But if you're looking for anything other than that, you can scroll down and look for the desired prefix binding. In order to come out of this window, you just hit Q and then it will take you back to the pane where you were. Well, there is one more way we can get help, which is some online resources. https tmuxcheatsheet.com. Let me try to open it here. I'll say open, new URL. Yes, here you can see session, all the help related to session, as in TMUX new session, TMUX list sessions, attach and detach options. Then this is window related help, this is panes related help. A very good resource. Now for some of the miscellaneous topics that we either covered partially or did not cover in previous sessions. One of them, which is quite interesting, is how to convert a pane into a full-blown window. Now that we have this layout, so what I want is this small pane where I am in right now to be converted into a separate window. How do I do that? A simple way to do it is prefix and then exclamation mark. Once I do that, I am entirely in a new window. And if I check that with prefix W, you can see there is a new session that has been created and a new window inside it. The second miscellaneous topic I wanted to talk about was the command mode. Within TMUX, it is possible to run commands, and to enter the command mode, I will hit the prefix key, which is control space in my case, and then colon. Have a look at the left hand side bottom corner. My cursor has moved here. So if I want to run a command here, let's say new -s session 20, this will create a new session. We can validate this with prefix and s. A new session has been created, session 20, with one window inside it. Earlier, we talked about how to rename specific sessions, and the method we chose to rename that was using command mode. But then there is an easy way to rename both sessions as well as windows. So the shortcut for renaming a session is prefix and then $sign. Once I do that, I can rename the session to, let's say, from session 20 to session 21. Okay, and then it renames the session. Prefix, comma. Rename this whole window. It takes me to the command mode. It types rename window itself, and here gives me option to rename the current window, and I will rename it with window 21. So if you see, we renamed the session to session 21 using prefix $, and we renamed the window using prefix and comma. At times we require to run the same command on multiple panes. Well, one of the use case could be you're remote into 3 different sessions through 3 panes, pane 1, 2 and 3, and we want to run apt update or ls command across 3 different servers. That's easy to do using TMUX. So we will enter into the command mode there, and then we will enter the window mode, which is set W, and then synchronize panes. The moment we hit enter, we now can execute command on all 3 panes. Let's list the directory in all 3. Okay, let's ping 1.1.1.1. Yes, we are able to ping. A practical use case of it would be, let's say, updating 3 Linux servers through apt update. How do I come out of it? Right, Q doesn't help, exit will kill the session. So to come out of this, get into command mode and then set window, synchronize -panes, that's it. Now if I run a command ls, it will only execute on one of them. Last but not the least is zooming in and out of a pane. SSH to a server, I want to zoom into this, so method is pretty simple. Hit prefix key and then Z. I can work on this server, and then once I'm done, prefix key Z again takes me back to the same original window with 3 panes. So that concludes all the help and miscellaneous related topics in this session. Thank you so much. Case of TMUX, we are going to test a persistent session. For doing this, I have 3 terminals running here. This one is running on normal OS shell, second on TMUX, where I'm pinging to a destination 8.8.8.8. Third one is just to observe that TMUX sessions. From first terminal, I have remote into a Raspberry Pi and pinging to a destination 1.1.1.1. I'm going to close this session and you will see the terminal lost forever. From second one, which is TMUXed into Raspberry, I close the session. But when I do a TMUX ls, I still see the session live, which I can attach using TMUX A. Sure enough, I can reconnect to the session. We'll skip this second use case as we've done it multiple times. Third one is pair programming. Let's get this done. So we'll connect to the same server from two different hosts and share the same TMUX session. When you run TMUX command, it creates a server process and a socket. So the running server creates a socket and initiates a default session with a single window. Path of that socket is inside the temp directory. There is a socket name folder, and inside that socket name folder resides the socket session. Using the same socket, if I provide to others, they can remote into the same server and connect through the same socket. This one is a TMUX session client. As I see inside the temp and tmux-0 directory, there is a default session. If I tmux-S for socket and give the path of that socket and attach this session, both I as a client and the other person who initiated the TMUX session will be able to mirror the screen. The moment I hit enter, you will see what happens to the server side. Now, what we are looking at is a shared terminal. That is called pair programming. Now, if I type anything from the client side, same would be visible on the server side and vice versa. For this to happen, make sure that both are logged in using the same user account. Pair programming may not be suitable for business collaboration, but it's very useful for pen testing or red teaming exercises, leveraging just the native SSH connection. Last practical use case we have is of session logging for troubleshooting and looking at the historic data. Now we will capture the pane as buffer logging and then export that buffer into a file. So process to do that is simple. We do prefix and colon, move to command mode and simply type here capture pane. And what we want to capture is from the starting all lines. Okay, so that has started a buffer. Now let's issue a few commands. Let's say ping 1.1.1.1. While I'm doing ping, there are multiple use cases to this. You can initiate a session to a server or maybe run a few commands for troubleshooting and capture this as a buffer log and then save that buffer into a file. I think there are enough packets of ping now. I will stop it by Control C and then again move to command mode, and now I will save that buffer as, let's say, ping.txt. If we ls now, okay, I may open it. And here we see the ping text open. That concludes the buffer logging, which brings our session to an end. I hope it was informative and I thank you for your time.